Hello, this is Neil, the art instructor at masterpaintingnow.com. You found this video because you just don't know what to draw next. Maybe it's frustrating you, maybe it's like just bothering you, maybe you're just getting bored with drawing now because you just don't know what to draw next. Maybe you felt like you've drawn everything there is to draw. Trust me, you haven't drawn everything there is to draw. But I think there's two reasons why someone might feel this way. The first reason is, like myself when I was younger, I only knew how to draw so many things from my imagination. Because of that, I was limited to what I can draw, and I felt like I've drawn everything I can draw because I didn't, meaning in other words, if I want to draw something from imagination, I had to memorize it. I had to like meticulously memorize it. So like, I'm like, okay, I'm getting bored of drawing eyeballs, which is why I drew an eyeball here. I'm getting bored of drawing eyeballs all over my homework, and while I'm at the park, wherever I'm drawing in my sketchbook at home, and I'm just getting bored of drawing eyeballs. I grew up with paper and pencil, so I didn't have the ability to draw on the computer yet. It was kind of there, but we didn't have the Cintiq yet. We had no drawing tablets like that, so it was all for me paper and pencil and charcoal and all that kind of stuff and paints and whatnot. But I was able to draw things from looking at them. That's where this is twofold. So there's two different kinds of people here, I think, that are running into this problem. One is the people that can draw fairly well from imagination, but they just can't generate any more ideas. They're kind of like, what do I draw next? I'm kind of running out of ideas to generate. The other person is, that is maybe their creativity is running a little bit low. So how do you stimulate that creativity? The other one is they're very creative, but they don't know how to make that creativity happen on paper. They like have this really cool idea and they go to draw it and they're like, I hate this. This looks like crap. I don't want no one to see that. And so whenever they're like drawing for people to see, they draw like an eyeball, or they draw a pot leaf, or they draw a rose, things they've memorized how to draw well. And so when people look at it, they're like, hey, that looks pretty cool. And now they're running out of ideas because they don't know what else to draw because they don't know how to draw anything else. That means that they have to go and like memorize something else to draw. And that can be very frustrating. So for me, learning how to draw from imagination was the most freeing thing because I was full of creativity. I never had a problem of running out of creative ideas. So how do you fix both these issues? Well, to fix, what to draw next is, well, let's say you've already you can only draw from what you're looking at. And let's say you don't even want to learn how to draw from imagination. For whatever reason, you don't want that freeing feeling. But for me, it was the most freeing feeling in the world, like the best feeling in the world. Like I drew this really quickly from imagination, absolutely no references whatsoever. And it wasn't because I memorized all these little things. I understand the anatomy of the eye. So to learn to draw from imagination, I learned the fundamentals of whatever I'm drawing. So of trees and backgrounds and mainly of people because I love drawing people, and to learn the anatomy of the person is able to let me draw a person quickly from imagination. I just go, okay, I know, what forms, what it is that makes up the person, and once you know what it is that makes up the person, you can quickly go ahead and draw a person because you're like, hey, I know what makes up a person, and so let's say this arm's just out like this, and we can quickly, lay in here some basic forms. And we cut them in and we can start forming our character here. Because now we understand, what it is that makes a person. And it's these basic shapes here that allow you to do this. But to understand, what makes those basic shapes to begin with, that's what you have to learn, and that's where the anatomy and all that comes in. Kind of messed that up right there, but it's okay. And this right here, I can easily turn, believe it or not, because I understand all the information that's here, I can easily turn this into a nice drawing. And how I'm able to do that is because I can just basically just add anatomy onto this quick sketch. But how do you get to this point where you can just do that from imagination? And that's where, it takes a lot of practice and learning. And I recommend starting with, books and stuff on the subject that teach anatomy well. And there's not very many of them. There's only some of the people I can recommend to you are really expensive. We're talking like $400 a course. And so I know a lot of you can't afford that. That's why I make my courses so affordable and they're comprehensible. And, all you have to do is look at the reviews and stuff. I'm not trying to push my course on you. I'm saying learn the stuff anywhere, but you just want to learn how to draw from imagination. That's what I teach my courses. I also teach here on my website, or here on YouTube channel. Just search my YouTube channel. I have over like 500 videos, I think now. It's getting up there. It's a lot. And just search a subject like eyes, and you'll see I have videos on how to draw eyes. So search how to draw people. Search how to draw the figure, and you'll see I have tons of free videos on that subject. If you want to take it to a higher level, you can get my courses. That's up to you, or some other course. Anyway, so that's the first thing is learning the mechanics of drawing in a form. The main thing you want to learn, though, before any of that, is form, lighting, and perspective. Without those foundations, it's going to be really hard to draw anything from imagination. And luckily for you, I actually have a course that has all those fundamentals right built into it, and it's called the Form, Lighting, Perspective course. And it's also in my bundle, like How to Draw Anything course and how to paint and draw comics on Udemy. It's within that bundle. Plus, there's like 6 other courses in there as well. So again, I'm trying not to sound like a salesman. I'm so sorry for some of you that think I sound that way. I'm just trying to talk about stuff and help you. And I know that I have a course that'll help you, and I don't know a lot of the courses out there that'll help you that aren't very expensive. So if you want to know what those ones are, I'll tell you them. Like Glenn Vilppu has some really good courses, but they're very, very expensive. Right. So you learn how to draw from imagination by learning those fundamentals and those foundations. In fact, those foundations are necessary even to draw from life. You'll find yourself drawing easier and better from life. So let's say you already did that, though. You already went through all the things of how to draw. You're able to draw from imagination. So anyway, to cure the first problem, back up a second, stop myself. To cure that first problem, learn how to draw from imagination, learn the foundations, learn, the form, learn lighting, learn perspective. Those are very important. Then, learn the human figure, learn anatomy, learn a little bit about, the mechanics and structure of cars and vehicles and buildings and stuff like this, and trees and organic stuff and rocks and mountains. If you want to draw that kind of stuff too, and clouds and whatnot, because clouds are a 3-dimensional object. But to do that, you have to learn form and all that first. That's the foundations. It's like trying to learn, calculus without first learning algebra. You have to learn algebra first. So before you move on to learning about drawing figures and cars and stuff, learn the foundations, which is, again, form, lighting, and perspective. Right, so then once you have all that down, and let's say you're able to draw from imagination quite well, but you're still running out of ideas like, what do I draw next? Well, there's all kinds of, you just think about imagination, right? You can read books and think of ideas from that. Take your favorite book and go, hey, what's a really cool character or creature in that book I like? How do you envision that character? Now try to draw that character. Now that's where it can get kind of hard, is trying to put things on paper that you're able to see in your imagination. To do that, you really have to know drawing well. And so you can also add style to it as well. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. So to generate ideas, there's several ways to do it. I'm going to go through some of them right now with you. So one of the ways is you can draw something you're used to drawing. Like, you draw people, you're used to that. You draw characters, whatever. Now, after you're drawing a character, what can you do to that character, to make them different? Let's say all we have here is a face, and we know, the basic form of the head. And so we, draw in those basic shapes for our face. And this right here, just being able to do something like this is very freeing. It really is. Just be able to take something this quickly and just quickly, come in and draw something that has the likeness of a person already, and I haven't even really drew anything yet, And already you can start to see, hey, that has a likeness of a person. And before I even begin to do anything else, this is where the fun can get. What can I draw next is think of a new character to draw. And so this comes into, think about what kind of character is it? Is it is it more of a grungy character? What's their personality? Are they more of a sophisticated person? Are they more of a laid back kind of person? Are they like a stoner? Are they an elf kind of character, from Lord of the Rings or something, what kind of personality do they have? Are they destructive? Are they reckless? Are they careless? And all that can show through in your drawing, Do they have a history? Do they have a scar? Have they gotten cut with a sword in the past? Maybe they have a scar that goes across their eye right here and across their cheek, and all this kind of stuff. And then, even more basically, you can just start thinking about more generically, what kind of eyes do they have? Do they have big eyes? Do they have more slanted eyes? Are they Asian? Are they American, African American, or are they, Caucasian? And what are they exactly? And do they have more like love puppy dog eyes? Do they have smaller eyes, bigger eyes? So these are all things you can generate new ideas with, and now you're drawing something new. And so even though you've drawn, faces and stuff before, have you drawn, every kind of face? No, of course not. But let's say you're bored with all that, and you just, so now you can start bringing in a creature. So you can start thinking about, okay, if I start with something that's kind of human, how do I take that, like that human form and start to change it to something else? And this is where, getting experience drawing a lot of other things and learning a little bit about an animal anatomy, which is very, very similar to human anatomy. Once you learn human anatomy, you can actually compare everything to that. And so now you think about what can I do to, make this character different. And I could take some animal ideas or concepts and bring it into the human. And so that's where you go, okay, well, you start learning about, like, I don't know, the anatomy and look of a frog and snakes and all this kind of stuff. And that's how you can generate new ideas, is applying that to what you're drawing. So you can go, okay, I don't know, what if I kind of change her whole entire structure here a little bit, the base structure of her face, and kind of add in my idea of, a lizard or something like that along those lines. And so you kind of come out with something more like rounded eyes, bigger rounded eyes. And, they don't have much of a human shape to them anymore. They kind of have this bigger shape. And then the inside of the eye is huge too, like this. And then you think of something else and you're like, you know what? I know a little bit about goats, and I've drawn them a couple times. And I know that goats have these really weird eyes. And I'm going to make the inside dark like cats, where you can't see any like white of the eye. And then I think about goats. I'm like, oh, goats are really weird. I always thought that one weird thing about goats is their pupils. They're kind of like this rectangle shape. And so already, I'm doing something really, really different by giving my character this rectangle kind of shape. And so you can generate ideas this way too. And you can go, what if she had ears like kind of like a bat or whatever, whatever you think would fit. Or even like, what if she kind of had ears like a goat or like a donkey? And then, you also want to add in the form of the eyeball here. By the way, this is just again the charcoal pencil in Manga Studio. It's really cool for doing quick sketches. I really like it for that. It's really cool in general, but I really like it for doing quick sketches. Let's go ahead and add. Slightly darker pupils, darker. You can decide to give her eyebrows or not. You can kind of just, come up with, I don't know, maybe now we're just going to kind of have this whole form is going to be dark around the eye a little bit. So the eyes are sinking in her head a little bit like a human, but the eye sockets are a little bigger on top, but maybe there's not much socket on the bottom, but on top there's this big socket. So, we kind of put that in there. Maybe a thin nose bridge or something, come down to almost no nose at all. You can take this down and almost have a flat, bigger nose like this. And that's it. They don't have any nostrils. Maybe they have very, very thin ones. Or maybe just none at all. And this is kind of like, it tucks underneath. So somewhere underneath this form, we'd kind of start thinking about the form, how the light hits it. But somewhere underneath that form would be where, and maybe it's like a really thin nose, like I said. And we can take the, highlight of the eye. Maybe there's an opposite one over here somewhere, not as bright. And some highlight in part of the socket, let's say. And so this is all, I've never drawn anything like this before. This is all just me trying to help you how you can generate ideas. So wondering what to draw next, this is one way you can do that. You can take something that you know really well and then take some other things okay, and start adding those concepts, into your drawing. And I'm thinking maybe her nose is kind of, rounds off more like that. I'm just showing the shadow side of it mostly. And I don't know, maybe they have more human type cheeks and stuff, and I don't know if I like that, so we can erase it. Maybe it just kind of comes down into this form right here, which I kind of like the idea like that, form, but I'm going to kind of change it towards more just like a rounded mound than where it tucks under so much, and it kind of just fades off as it rounds out the mound. And then, maybe that kind of forms into some sort of mouth here, very thin lined mouth, and that this whole form kind of forms into the mouth. And now I'm probably, without even realizing it, taking ideas from something. I don't know if I want to give that kind of lower mouth, maybe kind of give her a bigger lower lip here. So now we're going back to more of a human kind of thing here. That lower part here, and then the chin. And so now I got something that's very different than a human, and then I can come out and get rid of the hair altogether if I want to, and think about ears, and you know, maybe they're kind of like this. You know, so now it's kind of like, sort of like, I don't know, donkey ears, I guess, or goat ears. I don't even know what goat ears look like. I have to go look at a goat. I haven't really drawn many goats, so. But I know a couple different ears I can like kind of imagine and put together, make some new kind of ear up. It's like picking pieces and parts, you know, from different ears. Like the top part of the ear, you can make it be more like a bat, and the bottom ear be more, you know, forming more towards human. So you're kind of morphing them together. But it's has to be bigger than human because, you know, you're morphing the ideas together. And then from here, you know, you can decide on the head and how it's going to look. You know, you can have, you know, divots like this, like Yoda coming back, or whatever you want, you know, and that's up to you. You can have hair or not hair. And so that's ways to generate ideas, is taking something like a human figure and then start to add things to it. So you go, hey, I got my human figure here, and I want to add something cool, you know, to my human figure. Not really sure exactly what you're going to add to it yet, but you take that kind of figure and, you know, pull it out here, and then, oops, have this arm just come out that way. And right now, I'm like, oh, you know what? I can give her a super long, thin neck, and that's something I can do right away that changes the figure. And so from this point here, it's all about just, you know, what can I do to a figure to really change it, you know, make it not human. And there's so many different things you can do. You can, again, start taking different aspects of other animals and go, okay, well, dog legs are kind of weird in their anatomy. They kind of come, you know, back like this to their main part of the leg, and it kind of has a bone structure here that comes back like that. Then it kind of comes forward, and then they have these big feet, you know. So it's pretty much human anatomy, but a little bit different. All the parts are there, but they're kind of tweaked a little differently. So I can pull this leg down, and then I can have the knee, and I can pull the leg back in space some, and so it's coming back in space, and then it's coming back forward again, and then the foot is, you know, long, and they're on their toes. And I can do that same thing for this leg, but this leg is going to be a little different because we're going to be able to see it from the side view, kind of coming back this way, and then kind of coming forward, and then having this big foot here, almost like a hoof or something. And just doing that right away, I get something very different than human. I can make everything else human, and I kind of have like a, you know, I don't know, I can get all kinds of stuff with this, but I can have kind of like a female version of Pan or something, you know. And if it's a female, the widest part of the leg wants to be out here, so I'd pull that out like that and pull it in. And then you can start erasing construction lines and stuff like that. And then from here, I can kind of make it to where, right from here, it all starts getting hairy. You know, so we start seeing all this hair within all this section here, but still kind of retains that feminine look because of the way I did the hips. And it gets hairy down to about there, then it starts getting bonier down here, maybe a little bit hair down here as well. Then it gets back to bony when you get to the structure of the hoof. And so right now I'm generating an idea, you know, this can almost be like bikini, you know, but it's her hair. And then, you know, it's all different kinds of things. So you can just think about maybe adding an extra limb, you know, so adding a third breast in here, you know, can really change up and make something really crazy. Just depends on what I want. I can add, you know, I don't have to add breasts at all. I can just change up the chest altogether and add something different. But, you know, that's all up to me what I want to do. With arms, you know, you can pull the arms back and you can add flesh, like a bat, in between the arms, like this. Instead of between the fingers, it's right between the arms. It's like connected on almost like a sugar glider or a flying squirrel. And then I can add, you know, bigger forearms than what she has, for whatever evolutionary reasons, bigger forearms than she has biceps and deltoids. So you get this kind of, you know, thin upper arm, and then this like bigger lower arm and normal hands. And that's kind of interesting look in itself. And so already I have this like new kind of creature, and then I'm like, you know, can give her some big kind of crazy, almost like bat ears or something. And maybe horns. And maybe she has hair, maybe she doesn't. So this is all stuff I can add to her. Make her nose a little bit higher than that. And that have a new character. So when you're trying to generate ideas, think about that way. And that might generate some idea that stems to another idea. So as you're sketching out this idea and you're adding in, the different aspects of different creatures and things like that, and then this kind of spawns other ideas. And another idea that this might spawn as you're drawing is you go, oh, I really like that, but sketch that out and start over. And now I got this new idea that spawned. And unfortunately, as I was drawing this, it really didn't spawn any new ideas for me. But oftentimes what'll happen when I'm doing this process here, as I'm drawing and thinking about something new to draw, come with a new character, is as I'm drawing that character, something new it'll spawn a whole new idea to me that might not even involve a character at all. It might involve something like a vehicle, but it stems a whole new idea. I'm like, oh yeah, so now I take that idea and start going off. So that's ways to generate ideas is take a few different things like this and then merge them together like this. Oops. Merge them together here to this new idea. So this can be a cat. This can be a Viper car. The Viper car. That is the Dodge Viper. And this over here can be, a human, female, whatever. And try to merge those ideas together. So like, how am I gonna, let's say start with a cat, or you start with the Viper car. Start with one of these as your predominant idea. So let's say if you start with a human, this is your biggest idea. And so now I'm going to add these two ideas into that idea, where I can make them equal here. It all depends on how you do that. So the diagram will look a little different. This would be the human, this would be cat, this would be a Viper, let's say. And so the Viper is having the less influence, the cat's having the next most, and then the human's having the most influence. And it all depends what you start out with. So if I start out drawing a cat, something that's more like a cat-like figure, and I'm drawing like an actual cat, not a human, and so I have the the cat features and everything. And as I'm drawing this cat, I'm thinking, okay, so what kind of concepts can I do to this cat and has similar features to the dog, and as I begin to draw it, what can I do that adds in human qualities to it? What can I do to it that adds in a Viper car quality to it? And so the Viper car, it's got wheels. The Viper car has a certain sleekness to it, so you can take certain ideas, like mechanical ideas from it, and you start to come up with something like kind of like a robot cat. And so right away, I can start by adding kind of larger but more human-shaped eyes. And these are just really weird concepts I came up with here to add together, right? But even though they're really weird concepts to add together, if I add these concepts together, let's say I'm going to add, I can think about, again, the robotness of it. So I'm just thinking that if I, how much of the cat, how much human do I want in between here? Do I want it to be totally cat-like when it comes to the face, or do I want, more human lips? And these are all things I can think about. And that automatically like really changes now it looks more like a human face. So instead, I think I'll do more of a cat-like face. Anyway, this is just to get the creative process going. Once the creative process is going, you can really do whatever you want. As ideas come to you, just go with it. Go like, oh, I got a whole new cool idea I can do now that really has nothing to do with any of these three ideas. But there was that process of coming up with those three ideas or two ideas and mixing them together that helped you come up with a new concept. And so as I'm drawing this out, I'm like, okay, cool. And then I think of Dodge Viper. Again, there's not a lot you can really think about Dodge Viper and stuff that can really bring this out, but I know one thing about a Dodge Viper is like its lights and stuff, and that slice on the side. And so I can think, hey, that slice on the side, I kind of like the way that shape looks. And because I can make this whole cat like robotic and metal, I can do all kinds of really cool stuff with it. And so that slice on the side, that becomes like it's this kind of ear shape, and this right here is all like solid, almost like air vents. Like that. So it's coming back to its head. right? So this is what happens. This is what I was hoping would happen, is it would spawn a whole new idea. So I was wanting to do this, live for you and make it happen in person. All right, so it did. Right away, as I'm drawing, I get this idea. I'm thinking, you know what? The front of the Viper looks kind of cool. And so suddenly now I want to add cat qualities, but also the Viper qualities. And so the front of the Viper kind of has this look like this, right? Where it's the front grill part, where it's got almost equal slants. And I'm thinking now these can be like the robot eyes, like 4 robotic eyes. And right now they're dark, and maybe they'll be lit up, like light up, like yellow or something like that. But for now, I'm gonna make them dark. And then I can have that same kind of bridge, coming out right here. And that's still kind of making that cat nose shape. And the cat doesn't have to be any particular kind. It can be a tiger or lion, we can have more of that lion look to it, And maybe I'm still going to have the cat qualities here as well. And the ears, I'm thinking, what's kind of cool about a Viper 2, the Dodge Viper, is when they have the spoilers on the back. I'm thinking cars in general. And so I'm thinking this is like the top hood of the car, which is actually the hood, the head of the cat. And I also think I like the way the side of the Viper looks, but it's only from the inside, not the, how do I word that? It's only when you're looking at the car from the back angle that you see it, but I can add that kind of shape that it has, where it's kind of dark like this, to the side of the head now. Because remember, I can make this cat like a weird robotic creature. Now I can do away with the cat idea altogether and just run with that 4 eyes Viper look and start bringing and making a cool non-cat type of thing out of it. But instead of ears, it's got this kind of fin in the back, let's say, like this. It's got this kind of like they have in the back of the Viper car, and some of them have it. No, it's like more the racer thing, just to keep your car, grounded, so the air doesn't lift it up. And so I'm thinking these spoiler things, kind of go have parts that are dark and parts that aren't. See, it's like holes in the head, and then this goes to the actual form. This is a really quick, small sketch, so it's kind of hard to. And maybe you still have whiskers or not, doesn't matter what they be made out of or whatever. And so now I'm already generating a new idea here where, it's robotic cat, type of thing. And so I've already come up with an interesting idea here. If I don't like a certain idea, don't like the thing in the back of the head there, it's kind of stupid. Let's come out with either no ears or some kind of, you make that the ears, the side of the face, or, come up with cat ears or just something different, There's all kinds of things we can do here. We can still do, some kind of big pointy cat ear, but make it more sharp and robotic-like. So. Something like that. Excuse me. And so already now we got, this new concept that we're coming up with. And, from here, we can make it more human if we wanted to, add a human body, or, stick to the kind of cat-like body, but, more robotic and stuff. So we can, come down with its front legs here, and then maybe really streamline this kind of thing here, more like panther-like or something, and, or cheetah-like, and then come out with its tail, and its tail can be whatever, made out of whatever. It can be metal. The end of here can be some kind of tubish thing. And again, we can go back to the Viper and think about what would the end of that tail be exactly. At this point, you're just thinking about things, But you can make it to where it has more of this kind of cheetah-like qualities behind it. And I'm thinking then, thinking about the kind of add more human qualities to the chest, maybe. There's all kinds of things you can do, to come up with this concept. Where it can have really long kind of arms that come down like this, and then has these big forearms, but they're still more robotic. These can be all pistons and things like that, and metal parts, and shoulders can be like this, kind of round thing where it fits into, and then this big, arm like this has its own form and everything to it, and has a more strong cat kind of but metal kind of paw thing that will come out here It'll have its form. Not sure exactly how it's going to be yet. It could be more human. It could be more elephant. You can add all kinds of stuff into this, you know. So thin. I like that idea. The thinner and a thicker piston here. I like that idea of the thin and thick. And then, you know, the cat-like paw going back over there in the background. And so it slowly starts to merge into something new and different. And, you know, the ideas I started with were so bizarre, you know. Really? Cat, human, and a dodge, a viper. You know, they're so different from each other, yet the end result, you can kind of come out with a really cool creature or character. And let's say I just like the idea of the roboticness of the body, and all this right here would be very robotic, and maybe this can be like a hole in the chest that kind of resembles a viper scoop, you know, the ones that have scoops on it, so they have more of a shape like this to them. And that's part of the chest plate here, kind of like armor or something, you know, because it's a robot, right? So we can really change up how this thing looks now. This being more the stomach part that's turning back in space, pulling back over here. And again, with the legs, we can really pull out more robotic-like stuff. And the face, let's say we go, you know what, we don't even want a cat-like head at all. We want just something more, maybe slightly cat-shaped, or anything, you know. There's, at this point, you can really do anything you want with this. So let's say we even give it just a little bit of a neck, even kind of add more of that human quality back into here. So, you know, with the body, we already started adding some human qualities back into it, and we can add a neck to it as well. And then when we add the head, we can go with something that's more cat-like and still have that same kind of robotic ears if we want to, maybe bigger head instead of a small head. And then we can still, you know, go with the eyes, but maybe make them more slanted. But we're still doing that double eye thing. Maybe the smaller one is a little bit tinier than the top one. And you can still go with the cat-like nose, or just go with no nose at all, and then kind of do that, still the side things on its head over here. And now it's coming in smaller, but I don't know, maybe it has, you know, some kind of more human quality mouth here, but still robotic, you know. It's like a open slot or something. And then I don't know if this is a slightly different form coming in here, or just, nah, more like an ant now. Anyway, it spawns different ideas, right? So let's go and add a little bit of form shadow to this whole head here. It comes over there, it's less form. And then we're going to add like a color, like yellow or something. And now the eyes, oops, the eyes are going to be glowing. In this case here, I can use a smaller like paintbrush. Actually, I need to use this first. And then I can take my airbrush and set it to normal. It's a soft brush, so it's going to be, adds a little bit of the glow of the eye, and we can add now a little bit lighter color to the glow. Now I can go to drop down here and choose, like, let's say add glow. This just kind of adds that center glow more. You know, so now I'm already starting to develop this kind of really interesting looking character here. And that all started from this process of how to generate ideas. So hopefully, you know, I learn by, you know, example a lot. So I wanted to show us a few different examples. And what I was really hoping is that one idea would really stem a whole new idea. And that's kind of what happened here with the face, you know. It kind of stemmed and became its own thing. And it took a little while for my brain to work and come up with that. But, you know, if you can't think of anything, you come up with the best you can, add a new idea, start over again, you know, change human to elephant, change a viper car to elephant, you know, and you start getting different ideas. That's actually interesting right there. Elephant, something big like an elephant and the cat idea together just really interests me, you know. So you can have like this massive kind of creature, you know, with these massive, you know, kind of legs and stuff coming down. There's like the front legs and the back legs back there, and then this massive kind of head, but you know, you have these ears coming down, this trunk, and that's like elephant, right? But if you just take the idea of the massiveness of the elephant, you come up with a whole different concept here. Kind of even keep this head and everything, and we can even kind of stick with, you know, that idea of the cat kind of structure here. These kind of ears coming out like that and everything, and maybe a thin neck. Or no, now we need a big thick neck because we're going to do massiveness, right? And so you have like this massiveness of the body, And so more of an elephant-like, you know, and where the arms and shoulders, let's say the shoulders are massive. And now you can add more of the human quality in it, you know, less cat-like body, more human-like body. You can go back to cat-like body too, but here we got this, you know, massive idea here. Let's go ahead and get these deltoids in, make a massive, and then the pecs. Then you have the, now we're going more towards human, but now we can kind of change a little bit and go more towards elephant, right? You know, and now for whatever reason you don't want to draw from imagination, you know, you don't have to. You can come up with ideas the same way, but by looking at photography. You know, look at a couple pictures of elephants, you know, find one that you really like, you know, look at some pictures of humans, find one you really like, and then kind of pull those ideas and mesh them together. And this is also great for photo manipulation too, and how to come up with ideas. So I'm going to kind of make the arm, you know, thinner, like an elephant's arm gets thinner, like it's like beefy up front. Like elephant arm kind of goes like this. It's like it's got this kind of beefiness in the front, that's the kind of right here where the arm attaches, and then it has the kind of thinness like a regular animal. Then it kind of goes thicker again where the hoof is, right? So kind of really beefy deltoids. I'm kind of translating this into the human, shaping the human body, and getting this part longer, but you know, actually a lot longer, because this is all going to be the deltoid and then the arm, and it's also going to translate into the forearm. It's all going to kind of stay straight and the same, and then only here is it going to get large at the end where you have the hands, and the hands are going to be like, you know, some kind of big massive hand, you know, with knuckles and stuff. And so, you know, I need to pull this down, and maybe I want to kind of keep the idea of the elephant being, you know, really buff and coming down like more like Hulk, you know, so it's not so, it doesn't come down to such a thinness, and you know, we need a bigger waistline here, because what we're going to do with this thing here is we're going to give it a smaller head too, makes everything else look that much bigger. You know, take the same idea or aspect, but maybe even give it shorter legs, because how do we translate the elephant, you know, into it? We kind of into human, or kind of big legs, you know, and so that kind of translates, and then it comes down to thin legs. And if I add the Dodge Viper idea into this character again, it becomes more of a robot. I think anytime you add mechanicalness and you run with the organic thing first, then the mechanicalness isn't add more roboticness or armor or something, you know. It doesn't have to be mechanical. It can just be that it's armor. Now it's coming way down here and to like these big, you know, elephant like toes and everything or something. However you want this part to look, you know, you can, there's so many different options, but that's like the back toe and like these front toes, you know, like this, and it's kind of like part of the foot here. Kind of come out of the foot. It's not, they have like more like toes. They don't really have like you know, hooves. You know, so now we have this kind of character here, which is very different than that one. So now I've come up with two different characters, kind of, you know, same process, and I can still give the same head. So maybe they're part of the same line, you know, they belong to the same universe or world or a robotic line or something. And you know, again, you can make this be a more organic creature, and then that right now it's more of an organic creature, right? All this is organic, nothing's mechanical yet. I can instead add a helmet. So this is the helmet instead. You know, so who knows what the face looks like underneath? Maybe it looks very different. Maybe it has 4 eyes, maybe it doesn't. You know, it's just the helmet. And then maybe I can even, on this one, I can maybe add more of the elephant-like ears where they come down like this, but make them smaller, you know, not as big. It's like this, you know. And so now it's got this kind of elephant-like ear, you know. And that kind of reminds me of a Star Wars character. I don't know if that's how they generated that idea. Think about an elephant. You probably know what character I'm thinking about too. Right, anyway, so they got the massive neck in here and stuff. Bigger chest maybe. Come down like that. And so at this point here, you know, I could think of armor that goes over it now. You know, they have like these big, you know, shoulder pads here that come over the arm. You know, almost like rounded type, you know, shoulder pads. You know, it can be ones that kind of come more like this, like a shoulder pad like that, more like a samurai warrior or whatever. And then this part here is like a, you know, some kind of material that's elasticy that protects the arm. And then they can have another part right here that comes all over the glove. You know, it's like a big massive glove that starts from here and cuts off here and allows some of the thumb to actually stick out the actual character's hand. And then can add kind of more the elephant tough skin too. To it, and as you can see, I'm just generating ideas by going along with this, and I can take the Viper the sleekness and the look of the Dodge Viper and kind of add that into the armor, you know. And so that's just, these are just different ways to come up with concepts or ideas. And hopefully they're very helpful to you. And hopefully after watching this video, you're going to be able to generate ideas. And I have another one that's similar, how for writing. So if you run out of ideas to write about, I have a process I follow, and it's on my channel. Just search for writing on my channel. You'll see there's two different versions of it. One is with a blue background, one's a white background. I think the blue background's better, but some people like the white one better. So but they both follow the same thing. I have a format, a way to format your novels, a way to format short stories, a way to format screenplays, and so forth, so that you can come up with a story using that formula. But it's a formula that is used in screenplays mainly. But you take that same formula and you can apply it to novels. A lot of people do that too. A lot of novelists do that. But anyway, it's like, it's a story structure itself, and how do you come up with a story structure. Like first it was done by Plato. I think you have the beginning, middle, and end. You have the act 1, act 2, act 3, and you have to introduce the characters, and the characters get us to know about them, about their life, get us to like them, and then put them through a bunch of hell, and then finally have the resolution, which is the ending. And so the middle is usually the longest. The beginning and the ending is shortest. Ending is usually most shortest because you can kind of sum everything up very quickly, but typically the beginning, ending around the same size. So if you want to think about story structure, I'm sorry I'm going off here on a totally different subject, but story structure like this, that's the beginning, that's the ending, that's the middle. So the middle is the longest part of the story. Beginning and endings aren't so hard to write. The middle, I think, is the hardest part to write, because you have to think about all the hell and triumphs and stuff to put your character through while still developing your character and other characters and side characters and stuff like that. But anyway, so it's kind of a similar thing. What that does is that you look at that, and you go through that creative process that I show. I do in real time. I create a story for you. I actually create an entire story where it can be a novel, it can be a screenplay, but I create the whole thing in front of you in real time, showing how to use the screenplay structure or the story structure to come up with an idea for a story. And I got people tell me all the time, thank you so much for this. I was like out of ideas. I was having writer's block. I didn't know what to do with my novel anymore. I watched your video, and bam, I started going through the process, and boom, I got all these ideas now. Now I know I have too many ideas, and now I don't know which one to choose, And so using the same creative process for drawing, you can kind of use that kind of same creative process, and you can even take the story idea and go, hey, you know what? What about this character? Like, after you have a generated idea, further that character by going, is this character more of a stealthy ninja assassin, or is it more of like a playful pet? What is its role in life? Why does it exist? And that will change what I do with it. And this way I drew it here, this reminds me more of a stealthy, like ninja killer, so it's like it's built to be an assassin. So that would change a lot of things when I draw it. I want it to be an assassin, so its ears wouldn't stick out, its ears would go back. So if I did more of a side plane, because this doesn't work, ears sticking out, that don't work for an assassin. That's gonna get in the way. You want it to be more sleek, easier to fit through places, without hitting stuff. You want its ears running into things. So instead, if I have its head more from a side view, its ears are going to go back like this. Say it has to have these things because it makes it here or something like that. And so it's going to be more like that, right? And then you'll see some of the slightly side views of the thing, of the eyes. And so, and a little bit of the mouth down here, a little side view of the mouth. But yeah, so going back like that. So in the front view, the ears are just kind of going back, and we only see part of the ear like that, and a little bit of the tip like that, because, excuse me, the ears are going back in the space. Right, so we don't see much of it. I think that looks pretty cool. So that would be more the ninja stealth assassin. It's more of a pet. The ears might kind of stick out more to the side. It might be more fluffy, or something. And just to give you that more cuteness, In that case, you might give it, one bigger eye and make it more human, where it has some sort of pupil system and stuff like that. That way it's more human-like and more lovable. And so all those kinds of things will change the idea or the quality of what you're drawing and how you're drawing it. So that's another thing you can do to further your character idea is, what is its purpose in life? And then you can think about what's its story, and think about it being inside of a novel or a movie or something like that, and what would its role be in that movie. And that can also further help you develop that character. And you might already be doing that, like you might have to develop a character design, and you can still use this process. So someone hires you working for a company, and like, hey, this is the game we're working on, and we want this badass assassin character, want to be in armor and stuff like that. But they don't give you a whole lot to work on with the story. Like, it's really still kind of open. They're trying to generate ideas, and so you use this process, and you throw in Dodge Viper, you throw in robot, you throw in movie robot from some movie you like. You look up pictures of robots, you look up pictures of futuristic robots, look up pictures of futuristic TVs, microwaves, whatever, and that starts giving you the development of the futuristic aspect that you want, let's say, and then mix that in with dog or cat or elephant, whatever, and you come up with these different ideas, and then you're like, well, here's what I came up with, some warriors that can fit the video game, and they might want to this is kind of cool for background character enemy, but we need something for the main character to be more human-like, and so maybe something like this, or even more human-like. But you develop the armor to either look like more robotic and kind of take some inspiration from different cars or something, or different futuristic things you look at. It can also be that the armor itself is to look like an animal, so have the armor itself take on the likeness of the cat or of the dog or of the elephant. And in this case, so you draw like a human, let's say, right? And you have the human head here, and you have the helmet that fits on the human, right? And I don't know, maybe it comes down like this, and it covers the face, and it's got this thing that comes down like the trunk. No, that's stupid. So instead, it kind of fits on the head and goes like this, and then when it comes out here, the helmet kind of has the, it can have the shape of like elephant ears if you wanted it to, for example. Just for example, I'm just trying to, show an example of something you can do. Maybe they are, the ears are more pulled out like this, and so they come down like that. They kind of have more that kind of elephant shape. So this is like some extravagant character. This isn't the main character. This would be, if the main character, especially the main character, a fighting character or something, it wouldn't be very helpful for them to have this big old, headdress that kind of sticks out. But for like a more of extravagant character, this works, right? And see, I'm just taking all these different ideas and running with them, and like this becomes more of a helmet, so it's not organic, but it has a kind of the organic shape of an elephant, of its ears. And then in this case, the face comes down and it's exposed, and maybe they have some sort of face mask on here, some like armor that comes out this way. And maybe that armor, has some kind of almost gas mask type of thing, like this with the. And now we can see the full elephant in effect here, all taking place in design of a mask. And then the character has their body coming down here, or whatever, and then you can further design the character with armor that might continue to reflect the elephant, or it might continue to reflect a cat or something else. You can mix things together. And let's say I don't like this idea here, they don't like that idea, I can do more than one with or without the face mask, because you want to generate many ideas. So the other character, maybe she's really beautiful, maybe it's a female character, and she's very beautiful, and she has nice full lips or something. I cannot draw lips that far away from the page. It's not going to be looking right. And then you continue to draw the character, and so now they have this kind of, maybe her eyes are even blocked by the helmet or something. The helmet goes lower and blocks her eyes, and instead she has like some kind of cool, there we go, bam, she has those lights, 2 lights or something, or just 1 light. And so that's this, like, maybe this is the bad guy or something, But anyway, it could be like extravagant. And then everything else can be, pretty normal. And I come up with the rest of the figure. I'm not sure what she'd be wearing or anything like that, but I can generate ideas this way just by thinking about that. And yeah, so hopefully this helps. If it did help you, please do me a favor and share it. Just simply click on the share button and share it with Google+. That's my preferred method. Google+ is awesome. Facebook, whatever you want to share it on, and I appreciate it. Or just email it to friends and stuff, or just talk to it about with friends, like, hey, this video is really cool, share it in chat rooms, wherever you want to share it, Thanks, appreciate it.